By attacking the Soviet Union, Hitler made World War II the largest land conflict in history of humanity. And although many aspects of World War II are already highly discussed both in historical literature and on YouTube, such as the battles of Stalingrad, Leningrad, Moscow, there are still many aspects of World War II, and to be more precise, of the Eastern Front even, that are not highly discussed. And in this video I'm primarily using Michael Buller's book, The Third Reich, A New History, as a source for all of this weird information. So let us start with a kind of forgotten part of Russia today and the Soviet Union back in the day. I'm talking about the Kalmyks. Kalmyks were a Buddhist people. They live in Kalmykia, and here you can see how Stalin deported them later as vengeance for their collaboration with Hitler. Although what needs to be said is that many of them, even most of them I believe, did not collaborate with Hitler, but many did, for reasons I'm about to discuss right now. So Kalmyks were a Buddhist people, and it is kind of absurd when you think about World War II. You probably don't think about 3,000 Buddhist cavalrymen attacking you, like on horseback, but that is what happened to some Soviet soldiers. Around the Caspian Sea they got attacked by the Buddhist cavalry in the service of Wehrmacht. So why were Kalmyks, of course not all of them, but many of them, why did they support Hitler? Well, Stalin, like Mao Zedong, like many other communist regimes, was anti-religion, at least in the 1930s he was. And their Buddhist monasteries, they were closed and turned into prisons, and their Buddhist statues were destroyed. And the Wehrmacht, or to be more precise, General Stauffenberg, one of the few that actually realized that even quote-unquote inferior nations should be allowed some freedoms under the Wehrmacht. And he realized that the Kalmyks, they don't have religious freedom. And he realized he can get them on the side of Hitler by giving them their religious freedom back, by telling them, okay, you can open your Buddhist monasteries again. That's what Stauffenberg did, and also many were bitter at the Soviet system for collectivizing all of their cattle. They were for a long time a nomadic people, and it was in their tradition to have cattle as individuals, or at least as individual families. But the communists, firstly, they collectivized all of the cattle in the Soviet Union, and then in 1942 the state confiscated all the cattle. And Kalmyks, they did not like that, especially combined with the fact that they lost their religious freedoms. But now the most absurd reason for them, I honestly, I would think it was a joke if I hadn't read it in Michael Buller's book, this fact. So some of them joined Hitler because they believed that the swastika is the holy symbol. Swastikas are also Buddhist symbols, and they believe that the gods, or that the order of heaven, is telling them this new military that came into your village, they raised the swastika, which means that they are the good guys, because they also have the same symbol. And to them it appeared it couldn't be just a coincidence that these guys have the same symbol as us. The gods are telling us to join, is what some Kalmyks thought. And Stauffenberg also kind of brilliantly used the animosities that already existed between the Soviets and the Kalmyks. But okay, now to tell you something about the Cossacks. The Cossacks, just like the Kalmyks, were a people that strongly disliked communism. They were pro-monarchy, most of them. That's why they were oppressed in the Soviet Union. Many of them got ethnically cleansed by the Chechens in the Red Army as vengeance for the ethnic cleansings that the Cossacks did to the Chechens back in the day. But Lenin here kind of allowed the Chechens just to ethnically cleanse them, which was not good. And yeah, that's why many of them hated Bolshevism. Although we should not forget that many of them, in fact, most of them, fought against fascism. But yeah, still, many of them joined Hitler. And the 14th Army Brigade, part of the Army Group Center, I believe, in 1941, their colonel writes of something interesting. Michael Borey brings us what he wrote. So he talks about this mysterious army that attacked the Soviets from behind their positions. This mysterious guerrilla just attacked the communist enemy, and the Wehrmacht is confused. They are delighted but confused at the same time that somebody attacked their enemies from behind. And once they break through the Soviet lines, capture the Soviets, they realize who the hell these guys were. They realize it's the Cossacks of Nikolai Nazarenka. So Nikolai Nazarenka is an interesting figure. He's a guy that, and he said this to the Germans, Michael Borey brings us his story. He explains to them that for 20 years he was waging a guerrilla war against the Soviets. He never surrendered after the Civil War. And now finally he met his moment of glory to finally attack the Soviets again. And the SS troops even got Cossacks on their side by telling them that they are in fact of Gothic origin, and that they will be treated as a superior race once the Germans take power. And many Cossacks, because they hated the Bolsheviks, they joined Hitler. But the absurdity does not end here. Then many of these Nikolai Nazarenka's Cossacks are sent to Yugoslavia to fight against Tito's partisans, and there many of them meet their end. And what a bizarre story that is. Like, imagine for 20 years you fight against Hitler, you fight against Stalin for 20 years in the Soviet Union, and then suddenly this new army attacks, they recruit you, and they send you to some like bizarre place in the Balkans to fight, and you die, and that's your life. Like, that was World War II. Yeah, and this is how some of the Yugoslav communists looked like. But okay, now to tell you something about Andrej Andreyevich Vlasov, a tragic figure, a hero, and a traitor at the same time. So he was a Russian general sent to fight near Volkhovo, and he asked for his superiors. He asked the Red Army Command to withdraw, but they did not allow this to happen. They ordered him to stay and fight. He got surrounded, and after a few weeks of fighting a guerrilla war, he got captured by the Germans, and he felt betrayed by his nation. And also he was aware of all the atrocities that the communists did to the peasantry under collectivization. Now, was he using this as an excuse or not? I'm not sure. We can't read his mind, but he decided to join Hitler. And after all, well, why do I say that he's a victim at the same time? Well, he was offered a clear choice by the Germans. Either you join us, you get enough food to live. In fact, you get very good meals, more than you need. Or you disobey, and you get treated like the rest of the Soviet prisoners of war. Yeah, doesn't seem like a good experience. So he chose to be on the side of Hitler, Andrej Andreevich Vlasov, and he called for the Soviet soldiers to abandon the Red Army and join the Wehrmacht. And he claimed that the Germans are going to restore private property in the Soviet Union. Now, did he really believe it? We don't know. But what we do know is that in 1944 he was trying to escape and join the Americans when the Soviets captured him and hanged him for treason. And yeah, he really shows that World War II was a very complex event. Like, at the same time, Was he a traitor? Yes. Was he a victim of Stalinism at the same time? Yes. And in a way, he was also victim of how the Germans treated the Soviet prisoners of war. But okay, now to tell you something about the siege of Leningrad. Why was Leningrad so important? 11% of all industrial capabilities of the Soviet Union were in Leningrad. And Hitler also wanted to destroy Leningrad because it carried Lenin's name. So it was a symbolic city, just like Stalingrad. And today most historians agree that what happened to Leningrad is a genocide because of deliberate starvation of the Soviet people. And interestingly, many use this as an argument that what's happening in Gaza is now a genocide because starvation is also happening in Gaza. So many compare Leningrad with Gaza. Now, is that a legitimate comparison? Well, kind of yes, but kind of no. So I really don't want to turn it into a video about it. But okay, so what happened at the siege of Leningrad? Something weird happened. The lake that connected Leningrad with the Soviet positions, the lake Ladoga, or at least that's how it's pronounced in my language, the lake Ladoga, it froze. And the ice was thick enough for the Soviets to transport food and to evacuate women and children. And that event actually saved Leningrad, a city that was under siege for 900 days, one of the longest modern sieges in history. And of course there's the famous symphony written in honor of those that died in Leningrad. But okay, I want to finish now with the Reinhard Zorge, the unsung hero of World War II. Who was he? He was a Soviet spy that saved, one could say, the Soviets from doom. He told Zhukov precisely at the right moment that Japan is not going to attack the USSR, and Zhukov then used the Far Eastern troops to attack Germans in Moscow. But Reinhard Zorge had a fascinating life. He was first sent, after he became a communist, after he joined the Comintern, he was sent to Nazi Germany to become a member of the Nazi party as a spy. But then, just as Hitler was about to win the election, he was sent to Shanghai to spy on the Chinese nationalists, who were, by the way, being helped by the Germans. So he succeeded in getting important data about what the nationalists are going to do, and he sent the data to Mao Zedong, thus changing the course of the Chinese Civil War. Mao Zedong was victorious in the Battle of Amber Forest. Amber Forest is one of those famous battles that took place in the Chinese Civil War. Many today don't even remember that it happened. But yeah, what he did essentially, he seduced the wife of the German colonel that fought on the side of the Chinese nationalists. That's how Reinhard Zorge got the information that he needed. But yeah, most famously, he got the data about the attack, about the fact that the Japanese are not going to attack the Soviet Union, and that's how he saved the Soviets at Moscow. Okay, if you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more videos like this.